So I thank you guys so much for being here today and prep day one. We do have one more hour this week for this particular group. It is Thursday. So make sure you guys have that on your calendar for Thursday. So for today, I'm going to go ahead and share my slides. You want to make sure you take notes. Of course, as always, be free from distraction as best you can. In a perfect world, stay for the whole hour. My name is Lois Kofi. I'm a sales coach, podcaster. You can read up more about me on loiskofi.com. And just to share with you, there's two outcomes for today specifically. Number one, to have an amazing experience of coaching, deliver that for 50 to 55 minutes. And then for those of you that aren't already in my program and that want to stay at the end, I do have an offer for you with a discount if you wanted to jump in, like with Andy and a few others, for next week's course that starts 1 week from today on January 19th. That will take the information we go over today and Thursday, and of course, pour rocket fuel on that information. So really quickly, and most of you already do know my story, but I just want to really do a quick refresher and share maybe some different elements, because I'm learning the more I share, the more people relate, the more they're like, oh, so that's why I need to build an email list. And hopefully you guys can learn from, I don't believe in mistakes. You've heard me say this before, progress over perfection, and it's all a journey, right? We're all on this journey together, and we all learn in our own perfect timing. That's why review and reflection is so important to me now more than ever, because back in 2006, I was on what I call the hamster wheel of life, going just, almost on autopilot. I was quote unquote successful. I was making multiple six figures. I had a sales team. I had it all, right? I was traveling the world. I wasn't married yet, but I was also heavily involved in volunteering for my church. Also a running coach, coaching thousands of marathoners by that time. I'd already hit over 1,000 people. So I love coaching and holding people here and seeing, kind of like putting a mirror in front of your face and allowing you to see your excellence and see you higher than you see yourself. That's really the way I look at coaching. However, as most of you know, I lost everything in what I call now my big pause, my self-imposed pandemic of 2007. I was homeless, had my car repossessed, bank accounts completely cleaned out, wages garnished. So even if I was able to sell a house, which didn't happen in 2007, everything completely shut down like a pandemic of its own. I would have had my wages garnished. And so I was devastated, left dazed, bewildered, and wondering how the hell did that happen? First of all, it was like one big slap or ass kicking for me personally that I needed to wake up and smell the proverbial coffee. And I had to learn how to sell virtually, like a lot of people in the pandemic, right? And it was at that time I was introduced to email marketing for the first time. I was introduced to teleseminars, what I called telecoaching at the time, because we didn't have Zoom, and we had Skype. I remember Oprah did like a big Skype training with Eckhart Tolle and the Power of Now. If you haven't read that book, that changed my life then and still does today, where it was just all about sharing information over this worldwide web and connecting around the globe. So I started doing that in small doses back then, and I started making a little bit of money, but I was also very, very sick. And during that time, I had depression, anxiety. I was starting from scratch, like a newborn baby in a lot of ways. And I had a bit of a fork in the road. And one of my coaches said, Lois, you want to start building an email list. That's what I'm doing. And I had other friends who were telling me the same thing and telling me crazy stories like, hey, my mentor has an email list. I don't, again, know the number. He had a few thousand people in his email list. He was already doing very, very well for himself. And his email list, his tribe, as I like to call it, became his ATM, if you will. Instead of getting and, putting a trip or a vacation on a credit card and having debt, he would just build a nice crafted email with an offer. He would send it out and he would make 10 grand back. And at that time I was like, that sounds too good to be true. So I I judged it, I poo-pooed it. And I went on and had a journey and was overcoming my health and doing face-to-face belly-to-belly marketing and sticking in that safe zone, because that's all I knew. I only knew face-to-face belly-to-belly marketing, and I thought email marketing was spammy. I thought it was a waste of my time. And of course, I was afraid to share my voice. Even though I had written a couple books, I was like, who's going to listen to me? Who's going to open up my emails? That was my stinking thinking, as I call it now, back then. And I share that with you guys today because fast forward, my friends, my fellow colleagues, my mentors who were saying, Lois, you need to start a list. They're millionaires now. And humbly, transparently, I'm not a millionaire. And I don't live in regret. I don't look in the past because I'm not going back that way. All I can do is change my here and now. And in 2020, I woke up to almost a deja vu moment and realizing, oh my gosh, I've been here before. Thankfully, not the homeless part, not the car repossession part, not all of that stuff. Happily married, 2 beautiful children, had a lot of success in sales and entrepreneurship and speaking and all of the things, but all of it had been face-to-face, belly-to-belly, right? So in 2020, learning from my journey, those 13 years, and recognizing, again, I actually was working with the same mentor that had told me back in 2008, Lois, you got to build a list. And I was like, okay, as I like to joke, I got religion real fast and said, all right, sign me up. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm going to build an email list and I'm going to make money, because this pandemic, while I was in a better position financially and business wise, I didn't know how to make money online. I didn't have an email campaign. I didn't have a landing page. I didn't have a lead magnet. I also still had this belief, still somewhere back in my deep recesses of my subconscious mind, I didn't have a voice. Who was going to listen to me? Blah, 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 right? So I hired 2 coaches. I built my first landing pages. I built my first lead magnet. And by July, I was making 4 figures a month, more or less, just figuring it out on my own. And that's why I built this course that Andy's in, and that I'm inviting anybody that or anybody, if not now, maybe down the road, can consider, because I couldn't have done any of what I did in 2020 without being open, without being coachable, and of course, without taking my offline sales processes, what I call the Kofi sales formula. We're only going to touch a little bit on that today, but and translating it into online monetization. And I've done very, very well. And I share with you, humbly, because I want to get this information out there. I want you to take whatever nuggets you can today and apply it, because I believe your voice matters. I believe you have gifts and skills that deserve to be heard. I believe that you can have a tribe, a following, whatever you want to call it, a community, whatever word suits you. And an email list, in my experience and in my opinion, is one of the best ways, if not one of the top ways. Because let's face it, guys, I don't know about you, but Facebook, LinkedIn, I'm kind of tired of it. I'm just going to be totally transparent with you. I even hired a virtual assistant now that helps me manage my Facebook and LinkedIn. And I've taken a step back and gotten off of it more myself. And I got to tell you, it's been amazing. Most people miss your stuff on Facebook. And even if you have your own Facebook community, which I do teach on, I do believe in, they still don't always see your stuff. They don't. There's always these shiny objects. People are getting invited. I don't know about you guys, but I get invited to different groups almost every day. And I don't even see all of my mentors' posts, but guess what? I see all of their emails. And I've fallen in love with reading their emails, because it feels like I'm having a dialogue with them. Whereas on Facebook and LinkedIn, not so much. To me, that's more spam now and interrupts my day and my consciousness. But my email lists that I sign up for, that I opt in for, and that you can create and duplicate and do the same, that's really what I consider my community that wants to hear my voice, that is excited to get my email now. And again, a year ago at this time, guys, even 7 months ago, I didn't have an email list. So what I'm teaching you today is very possible for you. A year ago, I didn't have a podcast. So I don't know what your goals are for 2021. You do want to be able to create content. You do want to be able to have information to share, and audio visual stuff is very, very fun and easy for your list to consume, on top of course, the email. So I don't want to overwhelm you, but if you want to just check out my podcast just to get some ideas for your own way of having your voice heard, that's where I started. I listened to my coaches' podcasts. I got on their email lists. I started studying, and I know, Deborah, you talked about you're kind of in that research and study mode. Fantastic. Start studying and finding people, and it doesn't have to be me. Find people that you connect with on a mental, physical, spiritual, emotional level, whatever drives you to be your best version of yourself. And if you start seeing, you know what, I like that, start saving that information, seeing how can I do something similar with my own messaging, my own voice. Part of what I use through my email system and through what I'm coaching more and more, and Andy, you're going to see more of this as part of the course, the Fortune is in the follow-up course, are my 4 steps, my 4 pillars. I haven't even decided if I'm calling them steps or pillars. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think sounds better, but these are the 4 things that I've done for 22 years that did allow me, and again, being totally transparent, being able to succeed at a high level offline. I was able to duplicate that online by still following my principles that I've been doing for over 20 years that are very, very much applicable to the online space. So really quickly, we're only going to go over 1 and 2 today, and then the basics on the stuff and then we're going to finish on Thursday, everything that we don't cover today. But you got to have the right mindset around sales and list building. Okay, we're going to talk about that today. Number 1, you got to manage your time. The emails don't write themselves, shockingly enough, unless you hire someone, right? There is ways to outsource. There are ways to manage your time and put things in time blocks on your calendar to make sure you get things done, like your landing pages, all of the things that, the list doesn't build itself. So you got to put that into your schedule and time and space. Just like I said, a year ago, I didn't ever have on my time schedule, oh, I got to build a landing page or outsource it. Oh, I gotta actually spend time on social media, specifically, not just to post about my kids or post about this event or post about whatever. I actually got to get people off of social media and into my email list. And I'm a big believer in balance. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. I still believe, especially if your idea of list building is meant to help you hopefully create more money, right? Type in the chat if one of your goals for building a list is also to make money and monetize with it. Type in that chat, just type yes, I want to, if you have a goal around your email list, I would love to know that as well. But I really want you to live your life and create a life by design, not just have one more thing to do, one more thing that takes time, and one more thing that could potentially distract you away from your family or your health or whatever other goals or hobbies or dreams that you have for yourself. That's the beauty of list building, that I will tell you. You can build it once, you can tweak it, refine it, and automate it. Okay, again, it takes time to do all these things, but you can get to a point where I took, for the first time ever, guys, for the first time ever, I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, I took the last 8 days off of the end of the year. I set up all my emails. I had my VA trained how to check my social media, check my email, but I was able to take time off with my family, focus on my health, take care of myself, really connect and be present for my kids over the holiday season, plan for the year ahead. and still have a $5,000 ROI when I got back into the office this past, well, a week ago Monday. That's what's possible. Okay, it took me a while to get there. Like I said, this is really a 6 to 12 month journey. If you choose to go on it with me, great. Just know that it takes time. However, the fruits that you can produce are so worth it. So worth it. Maybe you want to give more time to your community, your spiritual community, your church, you give more money. All of that's possible. And I'd love to get to know more about what your goals and dreams are around that. Number 3 and 4, we're going to not really cover a ton today, but we are going to talk about, landing pages, lead magnets, how to start building them, why they're important in list building. You can't build an email list without landing pages and lead magnets. Okay. So we are going to touch a little bit on that today. And of course, CRM, you have to have some kind of a system or a tool that will automate those emails for you. Like I set up all of those emails on December 22nd or 23rd before I took the rest of the year off, and they just went, right? That's where I talk about making money while you sleep. You don't have to be sending all the emails out, right? The system will do it for you because, again, most people don't buy on the first go round, right? This isn't a get rich quick scheme. You can get to 4 to 5 figures a month over a 6 to 12 month period if you choose to do so. So that's a little bit about the sales process when it comes to building an email list. And of course, once you learn it, you can duplicate it face to face, belly to belly. We don't know what the future holds, guys. That's the cool part about this is this applies to offline, it applies to online. So no matter what happens in this pandemic in the next year or two, you'll be positioned to rock it for the rest of your life. So the mindset about email list building, I love, and I know it's kind of crude and vulgar if you've never seen it. If you don't like swearing, you might not like this episode, but if you go Google Coffee is for Closers, Alec Baldwin, Glengarry Glen Ross, he's the used car sales sleazy guy, right? He's the pushy salesman, right? And so the reason I didn't want to build an email list is I thought it was spam. I was like, who's going to listen to my stuff? Who's going to read it? Who's going to open it? Why should they care? I had all of this stuff. And I've coached thousands of salespeople, and same thing with phone calls. People have phone call reluctance. Well, I had email reluctance. So first of all, you got to get clear in your head and then your heart, of course. I think, and you've got to either borrow my belief or build your belief, however you do that, that you have a voice that people deserve to hear. And you can't probably, unless you don't have kids and you have all the time in the world. I don't know if you can still make phone calls if what your schedule allows. My schedule doesn't allow for the phone calls I used to make. My schedule doesn't allow to go out and door knock and meet people in person and to shake hands and kiss babies like I used to. I had to really get rid of that stinking thinking about my email fears and reluctance and judgments. And I had to do it really quick. And thankfully, with the help of coaches, I didn't do it on my own. I was able to see email in a different light and have a different mindset of abundance as opposed to a scarcity, which is driven by fear and negative thoughts. So that's step number 1, because your thoughts about email will impact your actions, will impact your results. That's why I say this is really a 6 to 12 month program I've discovered, because I did some beta courses in September and October. When people set goals like, hey, I'm going to build an email list and I'm going to have 500 people in 1 month, I recognized that wasn't always doable because people didn't have that habit, didn't have that muscle built. So it really takes almost 12 weeks to develop those patterns, first and foremost, to get into that new ritual, that new habit, that new routine. But also believing that you have value and you have an amazing email campaign and that you have an awesome lead magnet and an awesome landing page, all of that stuff, right? Big belief, right? Like attracts like, or that law of attraction. If you don't really believe in yourself, you might only add a couple people that day into your email list, right? Or you may not add any, and then your list doesn't grow. those are just some key examples. It does take some work, and it starts with your thoughts. Your thoughts will lead to your actions, and your actions will lead to your results. So if you say, hey, I want to have an email list of 500, and you truly believe in yourself, and you go out and say, every day I'm going to add 5 people to that email list, and maybe I'm going to write 1 email, or maybe I'm going to work on my landing page, or I'm going to whatever, all of these income producing activities that I'm going to teach you and work with you on and do with you, that'll get you the result that I'm talking about. If you want to make 4 figures a month, 5 figures a month, it all starts with those thoughts in between your ears that are driving you. And that will take a little bit of time. We do also know, and whether you like Bill Gates or not, he said this quote, and it's true: if your business is not on the internet, then your business will be out of business. And that I've seen in so many different facets. When I went through that journey back in 2007, 8, 9, 10, and 11, I was really, really sick. And if I had built an email list over time, I would have still been able to make money through those years. I wasn't on the internet. I was still doing phone calls and face-to-face, belly to belly. It's gotten much, much more impactful now because of the pandemic, right? That's why I knew 9 months ago when we went through that shutdown, I was like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what I have to do, because if I don't get online, people aren't going to find me. They're not going to hear my message. They're not going to always be able to pick up my phone call, right? They're not seeing me, that visibility and credibility that we talk about in networking groups and, things and communities that you might have been a part of before, when you could meet face-to-face, belly to belly. Out of sight, out of mind, right? Even though we don't like some of these companies, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, if they didn't have the advertising budgets, and if they didn't have the golden arches and all of the trucks, and you see them driving down the highways, right? People would forget about them. What about you? People aren't seeing you face to face. How are you getting found? How are you getting seen and heard? And how are you getting paid? And that's what we're all about. So my goal is to equip you guys from a spiritual service-based mindset to create limitless leads, both sales offline still, if it applies to you, but of course, most importantly, online in this new normal, so you can experience your best health, your best wealth, make money while you sleep, with a list of actual paying subscribers who, like my mentors 13 years ago, will pay you for the rest of your life, as long as you're bringing value. And that's also part of the mindset, is what is your value? What do you have to give? What are you sharing with people? Have you written that down? Have you journaled about it? Bottom line, I want you to work smarter and not harder. So really quickly, touching on step number 2, I want to give you some time management tips around, and some of you have seen these, some of you haven't, but how to get into that mindset of structuring your day so you actually take time, intentional time, to build your list. And Andy, I know since you've been part of the course, I might even, I might just throw this out there. I might have you come off mute what you found since December, even on your time management on this. So I'm just teeing you up for that. I'll call you here in a little bit, but we're all given the same 24 hours a day, right? And yet there are people who create way more in life. And I'm not just talking money. I have a friend who only works 20 hours a week. He's got multiple streams of income. He worked smart to get there, and he gets to play and have fun and do all these things, right? And I was like, oh, I want to do that. And I want to do that very, very soon, right? Until then, you want to structure your time in such a way until you have it built where it's paying you almost every day, right? I have a goal where my email list is paying me every single day. That's my goal in 2021. Minimum $100 a day is my goal. And if I can always reverse engineer on another time, maybe share, I'll probably share more of that inside of the actual class itself starting next week. But you got to structure your day, be very efficient and effective with your time. That's the only difference between what I would call maybe the haves and the have-nots. The have-nots are on the hamster wheel, just trying to make stuff up as they go, throw spaghetti at the wall, hope it sticks, and not really structuring their time and budgeting their time like they would or should maybe their money, right? Time and money are both really, really important to budget and structure your time. One of my favorite tools, just a really quick throw out there, one of my certifications is using the 12-week year philosophies and principles. I do weave that into my courses and classes because it changed my life. It cleared my mom brain several years ago when I read it, and helped me recognize all of the compartmentalization that I did before kids that got way more done. Like I never used to work nights and weekends, right? I don't anymore. Thankfully, 2020 helped wake me up to rebalancing myself and coming back to center. But by being able to structure my time, I get more done. I can spend more time with my family, and I can make more money. So that's a gift or a referral that I give to you. Please read that book. So when it comes to lead generation online, it's actually not that different than online. I was coaching people before pandemic world. You got to have a schedule where you have outbound lead generation every day. And some people find, well, no, it's easier for me to do lead generation on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's fine. You do you. I believe in unique. Everyone's got to figure out what is your best energetic way of spending your time. I really love to have power hours every day because as a mom, there's always something, and I like consistency. So in order to be able to set a daily goal of how many leads you want, part of that is something that is an ongoing journey is to reverse engineer and figure out how many people do you need to come into your email list? What is your lead magnet, price points, all of that? What is your income goals? That's big picture, right? How much income do you want to make? And then reverse engineering back. But even if just when you're in the beginning stages of this, building that muscle, I always encourage people to start with a lower number. Maybe if it's just 2 people a day that you talk to. And what I mean by do not stop until you wouldn't end your day until you have those 2 conversations. And if it's really too much to think about, just pick one person that you're going to talk to that day to build that muscle. And what I mean by that is talk to one person that day to ask them to come into your email list. Right? So set a time use goal. How many hours, minutes per day are you going to have for your online lead generation, for building your email list? So that's something to really, really think about. Power hour is effective for me, and what that means is I'm in the zone. Right? When I was coaching my athletes, and I coached runners and triathletes back in the day, it was painful until they got into the zone, right? Until they got into that rhythm. So it may take you a little time to practice and implement the power hour or power 30 minutes. You could even start there. But what I mean by that is distraction free. You don't check Facebook. You don't check email. You don't make any return phone calls. It's all outbound stuff. And it could be a combination of phone calls and messages. My sales coach always called them touches because it could be an email campaign, or not an email campaign, an email that you're sending to someone saying, hey, how are you? Just wanted to catch up with you. I wanted to let you know what I'm doing. It could be a text message. It could be a Facebook message. It could be a LinkedIn message, and then it could be a phone call. So you want to write down your best income producing lead generation out touches and do them during that 30 to 60 minute window where nothing distracts you. And if you don't hit your goal, that's where, do not stop until maybe you have a backup time of day. Ultimately, the goal is to just build that list no matter what. And it takes a little bit of trial and error to figure out what that looks like. What time of day or days of the week is the best time to do it? Well, it's the best time for you. There's only 3 or 4 of you on here, 3 of you now. I know Jackie had to leave early, but you may have all different times that work best for you. There is no one super secret right time. It's just, what is the time you're committed to that you're going to get it done? Also, scheduling time to follow up, because guess what? You might reach out to people during that time, but they may not answer or they may not reply, so on and so forth, right? You'll want to be able to do that follow-up. And I have a follow-up program. I call it the 8x8 campaign. It's all part of the email list building course. But even having that time followed up is booked in there. Scheduled time for email campaign copywriting, scheduled time for landing page, lead magnet, content creation. And then of course, if that all sounds overwhelming, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, but what can you outsource? What can you delegate? I will tell you one of the coolest things, and again, it took me several months to get there, but when I was on that Christmas break that I told you about, I had my assistant trained with scripts and things that she was sending and replying back and forth to prospective clients and stuff. I had those emails go out. I had my assistant checking them while I was off on break. And that was what helped me create that $5,000 of ROI when I got back into the office last week, because I was able to outsource and delegate some of it. Now I have a great assistant virtual agency that only is $6 an hour because they work in the Philippines. So the time zone is a little bit different, but at the same time, you train them once and then they keep doing the work for you. Trial and error, tweak things as you go, but they're phenomenal agency. So if and when you're ready for that, please let me know and I can introduce you to them if you're looking for that. Andy, I want to stop share. I'd like for you to share, what have you learned since you started working with me early December about how to fit this into your life and your time and energy management?
Well, I didn't know anything. Your story is like mine. I was the face-to-face guy, handshake, coffee. I didn't know anything. In fact, the last business I was in that we started in 2008 that we just closed before now, it failed because of that quote that you said with Bill Gates right there. I mean, that's what we were missing. So if you're asking what part of the day or do I focus on it, I was sort of fortunate enough to kind of already have a list. So I'm sort of in the polishing stages of that. The list is relatively dormant. So I'm beginning to polish that list. Well, I guess, how should we define? So in my mind, sometimes leads are just a contact. I would cold call, I can, but when we're talking about generating leads, I think in your class, Lois, I think we're talking about someone who we can convert to a customer that's already perhaps done some research on you already, or they've looked at your content. And so it changed the way I looked at it. So if I have a list of 5,000 people, that doesn't mean I have 5,000 I don't have necessarily 5,000 leads. They're not leads until they've gone through the sales funnel. But I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to do this, and I couldn't have done it without your class. And so you're seeing some emails go out now these are the first that I've ever done, and I'm watching open rates, and I'm using your formula of EIEIO, where I haven't asked for anything yet. I'm trying to sort of provide, and I don't know if I'm answering your question all the way, other than just telling you the story of. I think it's a great start, and I'm excited to learn more, and I'm forever grateful for finding you.
Aw, you're great. Thank you for that. There was no right or wrong. I know everybody's in an evolution, and I want to share with Deb and anybody who's watching the recording that it's eye-opening, mind-blowing. And there's all these little, as Jim Rohn would say, major and minor things. There's these seemingly minor things that I've discovered most people forget about when it comes to building an email list and all of the steps. So that was perfect. I'm going to go ahead and carry on because I want to honor time, and we got like 20 minutes left. So one other thing that email list building has reminded me of, and I may get emotional during this time, but when I decided to open my mind up and say, yes, okay, like a dog with their tail between their legs coming back to their master, I'm like, okay, all right, I got to do this email thing, even though I've avoided it for 13 years. And then I started making money in July. And I was like, wow, this is fantastic. And during that time, my husband actually, he's a contracted consultant, so he doesn't work, he doesn't get paid. And I got to be the breadwinner for a while, and I got to help, and he got to work with the kids and get them into homeschooling. It created leverage. And one of my coaches said, well, Lois, now you're making really good money. You know, do you really need to do all these things? Because I was attending all of these Zooms, and I was starting to get exhausted and burned out. I was doing a lot of networking events online all hours of the day. I was starting to get exhausted and burned out. I started then realizing, wow, I need to take some downtime. So I took Sundays off, starting in the late summer, early fall. I started getting my life back. I started coming back to center. I started coming back to balance. And if it hadn't been for list building, I don't know that I would have been able to do the things that I needed to do to heal from losing my mom and my brother last year. They died suddenly. My brother was only 49, and then my mom, I think, died of a broken heart like 2 months later. It was devastating. And because of COVID, you know, I basically got to see her dead body. She died, so they let me in to see her. Otherwise, they weren't even gonna let me in to talk to my mom as she was dying because of COVID and rules and group home stuff. And it was pretty traumatic for me. So I hired a therapist this summer, and I was able to take Sundays to heal and process all of this pain, all of this grief. And had I not built an email list, I would have been also not able to do that. Number one. Number two, I would have gone into what I call fear mode, and my husband's not working. So, oh my gosh, I got to make all this money. I got to make more phone calls. I got to do more stuff, right? But when I read this book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, and I don't know if you guys have read it, but it really brought me back to center and gratitude of how, by leveraging myself and my voice through content, through landing pages, through lead magnets, through monetizing email campaigns, and I'm going to show you some examples here in a minute, I was able to breathe. I was able to heal. I was able to cry and take a day off when I needed to take a day off. And in this new normal, in this pandemic, I'm afraid if people don't embrace and see the light like I did and find someone like me and build this, the stress levels are going to go up. We already know the suicide rate went up last year. Depression and anxiety were the most common searched things online. And I don't know all of the things that you guys do and offer, but I believe that you guys have gifts and things that can help people. They need to hear from you. They deserve to know you. And you don't have to kill yourself and work 7 days a week for that to happen, and to be able to have that abundance come back to you tenfold. Because I believe when you give your emails out there and you give your content and you share your love through your lead magnets and through your landing pages, I know it may sound woo woo, I don't care, but it's energy, right? And we get rewarded for exchanging our energy and our truth and our love with other people. I do believe in that. And I've seen so much abundance. And humbly, sometimes I would just, you know, cry, because when I took those Sundays off originally, I was like, oh my God, like I'm taking Sundays, I'm taking weekends off now. And some of that fear came back of like, what if, you know, will the money still come in? And it actually came in more time I took off, the more I healed myself, the more I took care to, you know, love on my kids and my family, instead of thinking, oh, I'm just going to work harder, because that's a sign of love too, right? For me, that's why I do this, is because I think too many people are spinning their wheels trying to figure it out. And it doesn't have to be that hard, but not everyone has the steps and tools on how to get there. So just so you know a little bit of the depths of my why, and why I believe email list building can help bring more balance into your life. So if that resonates with you, I hope that helps also be a dangling carrot of motivation as to don't give up on this process, okay? Because, you know, and I don't really need to spend a lot of time on this because it's a little redundant. I want to get to the rest of it, but life is short, guys. And so really thinking about the power of list building can give you your life back. It can help you also say, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to overcommit to this, that, and the other thing, right? Because I have my process, I have my daily lead generation, I have my conversations, I get people into my EIEIO campaign, the money starts coming in. It takes time for it to be predictable, and I want to honor that and be transparent with you guys, but consistency and a commitment and then accountability to getting it done, it's going to come back to you, and it's going to help you be more, I think, true to yourself and having healthy boundaries, creating that leverage so that you can be the best version of you and impact and improve the world with what you do and what you have to give. I'm going to skip that. So one of my lead magnets and one, landing pages, we're transitioning into that, okay, are these two websites. Please feel free to study them, check them out. They both are things that I'm monetizing very quickly. They're part of my tools and what I help you teach and what you create for yourself in your email list, your lead magnets, your landing pages, and how you can monetize that. So transitioning into how do you get started with that? Obviously, mindset, super important. Some people are like, Lois, I don't want that mindset stuff. Just tell me what to do. And I'm like, okay. But if you have any negativity in your mindset, you're not going to do very well with this. So that's why we make sure we cover that today. And if you don't block time, you're not going to, again, it can be overwhelming and people will quit if they're overwhelmed. And I don't want you to quit on list building. So landing pages, so you can see this young lady. She's here. I'm assuming, I'm just going to make it up that she's looking at a landing page. She's got her credit card out, right? She's looking at your landing page. I want you to envision, what is she looking at? What is she seeing? First and foremost, now keep in mind, not all landing pages have, dollar values. Most landing pages that are lead magnets to get people into your systems are free, right? So just keep that in mind. But imagine that she's past that process. She likes your stuff. She's in your tribe. She's in your community. She had to get in there somehow. You had to get her attention in some way, shape, or form. So the why behind landing pages, there's a lot of reasons, but here's the top 4. Now there's something that is big here in California, also in Europe and other countries overseas. I think it's going to become bigger over time. But when you see a landing page, or if you've signed up for someone's email campaign, it's essentially permission-based marketing. If you were in Europe or here in California, there's a GDPR, and I was going to look it up what it exactly stands for, but I can't remember all of the letters. But ultimately, if you, it's like the do not call list, right? If someone gets an email from you in Europe and you didn't give permission to be on there, they could actually sue you and you could get in lots of trouble. So a lot of landing pages also need to be GDPR compliant, that basically say, hey, I'm giving you permission to email me, and landing pages do that. Now there's organic ways to get people into your email list. I'll coach you on all of that, and we'll probably talk more about that on Thursday. But ultimately, if it's a friend or a family member, you can call them up and say, hey, do you want to be on my email list? I'd love to give you some free support, inspiration, et cetera, et cetera. 9 times out of 10, they'll say, sure, why not? Can I unsubscribe anytime? Yeah, great, no problem. But if it's a stranger or a prospect on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you guys, whatever your sandboxes that you play in, you're going to want them to sign themselves up on a landing page so that they, number 1, go through that GDPR compliance, and number 2, they have the power then to unsubscribe at a later date. But they feel like it's not a cold call. They'll be like, yes, I want to get this. It'll be better that way if they do it that way. It also gives you credibility. The landing page makes you look legit. And the good news is now there's all these different services that are really affordable and really easy to make a landing page. Before, it could cost you easily $1,000 per landing page. And I will say that I was anti landing pages, and I had a website before COVID hit, but My website was pretty cumbersome, very expensive. A lot of people throw a lot of money away at websites and they don't convert. Landing pages are simple, affordable, they look legitimate, they give you credibility. Number 3, it's like a digital business card, because if someone says, what do you do? And it's over chat, or even if it's over phone, they can be distracted by all sorts of things, right? But if you send them a landing page and say, here you go, this is my bio page. You could even have a landing page that's just about you, right? It doesn't even have to have a full-on lead magnet on it. It's better than a full-blown website for a lot of reasons. And I didn't realize it, but my coaches, I thought they had these really expensive websites. And every week they'd be sending out a different landing page. And I'm like, holy crap, how many landing pages do you have? They probably have like 1,000 landing pages in one website. They use their landing pages as their lead magnets, lead capture, sorry, tongue got twisted there, and pulling people into, number 4, their email campaigns. Now, if you're like me, I do have multiple businesses, so that's another reason why I have multiple landing pages. But if you have even different variations of products and services within your offerings, all of these things I'll help coach you through in my course, but you got to figure out segments, right? You know, does everyone want all of your products and services? Probably not. You know, my core offer is this building and fortunes in the follow-up class, but I have other tools like this right here, my time management tool. That's just one principle, right? That's just one pillar of my Kofi sales formula. It's part of what, you know, you're going to draw people in. Like this picture of this guy working from home with his kids sitting there. He's got his coffee sitting on the floor. He's not even at his desk and he's trying to do work, right? A big, huge part of my target market is parents working from home, struggling with time, trying to find leverage and create, you know, more income, right? So you want to start thinking about, what are my different value propositions, and can I have a landing page for each one? Now, in this course, my goal is to get you started with your first landing page, your first free offer or lead magnet, your first tripwire or tiny offer, and then it can build and extend from there. And then the good news is literally what I teach you with this one first landing page, lead magnet, etc., you can then duplicate. And I know, Deborah, you had asked about, how many months or when do I start a new course or this, that, or the other. It's basically an ongoing course. Anybody can jump in at any time. It's just probably easiest and best for people to jump in when I start a brand new week, like next week. But if someone who's like really dying to get in, they can jump in, they can sign up for 6 months, 12 months, or even just 4 weeks. So that's kind of the short version of that. So any questions on what I'm talking about here with landing pages? I'm trying to make it simple. You can come off mute if you have any quick questions. Okay. Then the final thing I want to share is on that landing page, you want to have a lead magnet, which is essentially lead capture. That's where, hey, if you want this free thing, give me your contact information. And that gives people the inspiration to say, yeah, I want that. Here's my email address, phone number, usually optional, but you want their email address to bring them in. And here's the goal, right? Those lead magnets are giving value in exchange. Andy's the barter guy, so he can talk to you about bartering. You're essentially kind of bartering. Here's something for free that will give, in exchange for your email address, you're getting this. What is this? Well, number one, it's got to be simple, and it gives them a quick, instant gratification. A lot of people, they want information, they want it now, right? So it's got to be delivered to them quickly and not overly complex. So it could be like the 4 simple tips to XYZ. Or if you go to my dailycompassandguide.com landing page, and I'll maybe quickly show it so you guys can see what I'm talking about on my screen. but it's got to be something that is something that they can easily consume. Step number 2, and easily accessible. So you have like a download page, a thank you page, and then it goes also to their inbox, both and. I'm going to be coaching more on that. And it solves a problem. It can be evergreens, something that is static. It's always going to be there. Can be a video, can be a PDF, can be it can be delivered over email. Like, hey, the next 7 days you're going to be getting an email on these tips. Here's day 1. That could be on your thank you page, and then it also goes into their inbox email. Can be free. 95% of the time, it's probably going to be free. But I have had people, total strangers that I met on Facebook, sign up for my $7 or my $37 program, and you both have experienced the $37 variety. So I'm just using that as an example. So you want to make sure, as you're thinking about your lead magnet, your free offer, and even your tiny offer, that it fits these 3 things. And let me show you really quickly. I'm going to stop my share. And share with you my daily compass and guide is my newest one that's already produced money even while I was on break. I even bought a domain. You don't have to buy domains, okay? But I even bought a domain that forwarded to the URL. I use NowSite, Lead Pages, and Infusionsoft. I don't want to overwhelm you, but you probably won't get by with just one system. And we'll talk more about systems on Thursday. I did hire a virtual assistant. I made all of my beginning landing pages all by myself last summer. And then, of course, I was profitable. I hired an assistant, and I almost never create my own landing page now. But the nice thing is, once it's done, they're done. So even if you hired a one-time virtual assistant just for that one project, it's so worth the investment, guys. So worth the investment. So you can see I have some just really quick questions. You know, do you ever feel like there just aren't enough hours in the day? Boom. Do you feel like your to-do list never ends and you can't get to it all? How can one get more done in less time and make more money, right? That's like the holy grail of what I think, anyway, most people want. And then how do you track your leads and prospects every day? So mine's actually a twofer. I have my daily compass and guide document and lead tracking sheet. And then down here just gives some motivational quotes, download now. It's very, very simple. You see the difference between this and a full-blown website. Websites, you can get lost. They're messy. I'll admit, go to loiscoffey.com. It's like, oh my God, there's so much here. Where do I begin, right? A landing page is not that at all. A landing page is so much simpler. And then they give their contact info. Hopefully you can see that. I just, it should say, let's get started. First name, last name, best phone, email, download now. Do you guys see that? Do okay. So then they give me their info. And then let me actually, I also have my thank you page. And Andy, just so you know, you can do this very well with NowSite. Let me see where I have it. There we go. Here's my thank you page. Congrats on taking action. Click here to download. So boom, instant access, easily accessible. And then I just also, when they sign up, they'll also get an email, but a lot of times the email goes to spam, right? Deb, you experienced that probably. So that's why you want to have a thank you page that explains, here, download now. Also has a video and even an upsell. You don't have to do an upsell on your thank you page, but I encourage them to buy the book, The 12-Week Year. Because again, I'm a certified trainer, right? I've been endorsed by the author, a New York Times bestselling author. So I've got a testimonial on there. I could have technically put that on my lead magnet page, but that would have been overwhelming, too much information. It might have confused them. They might not have even then possibly signed up for the lead magnet. So that's why I wanted to share that with you guys. And then if you sign up, you'll see my email campaign nurture series. And that'll help you better understand the EIEIO, which I know Andy knows. Deb, you're just learning about. I'll talk more about that on Thursday. So that's the beginning of what I call my sneak peek week, my refresher for you, Andy. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the share for the moment. It's 11:26. I'll take one quick question, and then Deb, if you have time, because Andy's already in my program, I can share with you my program, the ongoing course, and we can keep it really short, like 5 minutes. It doesn't take that much time. Does anybody have a quick one question? Okay, cool. Awesome. So in summary, on Thursday, we'll take it to the next level. Again, we talked about mindset. We talked about time, getting your lead generation on your calendar, how important it is. We'll talk about goals on Thursday, like how many leads do you want to get into your email list? We'll talk about the systems. We'll talk about the EIEO, how to actually now you've got the landing page. You got the lead magnet. Oh, by the way, I want to make this very clear. You can start building your email list before you have a lead magnet or a landing page. You're going to need the system. You're going to need some kind of software. But I went from 0 in April of last year to 2,000 people on my list by June. I didn't even have an email campaign. I would just mass email them once a week, my podcast episode of the week. That was it. I made sure there was good value, inspiration, education, good guests, experts, value. And I do believe that's what helped me make my first $3,000 in July, because I had given so much value. So don't wait until don't wait. Start now. Even if, like, I know Andy, you're now doing it differently. You had a list and now you're dusting it off, pre-qualifying, getting people into all of the things. And that's the beauty of it. It doesn't have to look a certain way. Everyone starts at a different place, but you don't have to be great to start. You do, however, got to start in order to be great and to figure it out, because there's no way. I'm still learning, guys. I'm still tweaking and changing things constantly on a monthly basis anyway, because I'm learning, want to get better, want to improve, want to make that daily paycheck, right, that I was talking about. So just so you can see it, Deb, I call it my Fortunes in the Follow-Up Mastery course. It's a great follow-up to the List Build course that you got to experience. That's my quote unquote tiny offer lead magnet. And the goal of the course is to really do a deeper dive into the Kofi sales formula. The goal of the course is to have you build a list, build a landing page, build those lead magnets, get to your tiny offers so you can start monetizing, write out that email campaign so you can automate it and monetize it for the rest of your life. Even if you built it to 200 people, fantastic. Some people have bigger goals. And it depends on you, your budget and your time and your commitment level. Because I have found, like I said before, a lot of people have to work through their mindset. They got to work through the foundational baby steps. Sometimes people will get to 200 in 1 month. Sometimes people will take a couple months to get there. So my goal, though, is for anybody in my course to stick it out if they can for that 6-month period to get to 1,000 or more, and test and course correct along the way. Because like I said, there's no other course out there that's done with you to get to that level, because a list of 1,000 people can make you $1 million. It can make you $1 million. That's what my mentors did in the last 13 years while I was off doing old school stuff, right? Thinking, oh, that's going to get me to where I want to be. And I was wrong. So I want to get you to where you want to be. And I'm not saying you have to be a millionaire. Okay. That I don't want to say that this is all about the money and blah, blah, blah. However, that journey will make of you a better person, a better mom, a better wife, dad, husband, cousin, uncle, sister, because you're going to overcome a lot of mental challenges. And I want to be on that journey with you. So I can send you this link, but basically it's 2 hours of live coaching every week. Tuesday and Thursday, although I am going to be adding other classes and times as this one fills up. I will give you access to all my email copy and campaigns that helped me create all of the ROI that I've been talking about. Learn how to build your free offer and give value with webinars and close more sales in less time. Come here, honey, want to say hi? This is my junior sales partner right here. Desiree. I'm teaching her how to build an email list too. We're working on it. They have their landing page and their lead magnet and their tiny offer, and they've been making sales. It's a lot of fun. All right. And then of course we have a private WhatsApp group and support. I do have, just so you know, Deb, and I think you know this through Leanne, there is a marketing platform that does email campaigns and landing pages and stuff for you. If you invested in that, then the course drops $100. And there's a lot more value. This is just my order form page. Everything that we're going through today and Thursday goes over to you know, just a teaser, sneak peek of what this course is all about. And the price is $997. Anybody that attends the sneak peek, I am going to give them $100 off. So it would be $897. And then there are 6 and 12-month options where you save a ton of money. If people commit to that, great. If not, they can go month to month or just do one month. I will tell you 1 month is not enough time, but I always honor where people are at. It's perfect. Or you could do a payment plan of $397 over 3 months. If you ended up signing up this week, it would be $897, and we would change the monthly payments accordingly. So I'll send you that link. So you have it, my dear. And that's it for today. Any questions before we pause and drop off?